Yo guys, what's up? We are finally back here for another video. This one's gonna be pretty much just an update. I'm not really gonna do anything, but just like so much has happened on the car, it's actually crazy. So I really wanna share that with you guys, see where we're at, and just kinda tell you about what kind of the rough plan is for this 2019 season. The build is going deeper into the season, obviously, because we're doing so much. Like we kind of took that small idea, we're like, oh, we'll just do this since we blew up our engine. And then it just was like, well, why don't we just do this and this and this? And it just kept stacking and stacking. But we're getting to the point where this car is gonna be sick. I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to bring it to fun events, pro-am events. I'm honestly just really hyped to drive it and travel around with it and just have fun. So let's kind of dive into where we are at now. So I kind of want to start with where we were roughly before. So where we're at with this is we have actually all of our rear mount intercooler stuff plumbed. So we have all the lines, we made all these -16 lines and, you know, remounted the water pump back here. Originally I had it actually in front, but we kind of trimmed a little bit of stuff up, added some angle. We didn't like back half the car or anything, but we just added a little bit of structure. Some 45s going to like where the crossbar is, and then we added this cross member where we can, it could be used for a fuel cell early, like later on in the game, but it works really well for the water pump now. I still need to do like a shroud in the fans, but everything is looking pretty good back here, and I'm really happy to have this stuff plumbed, so I could go to the dyno, you know, without finishing this stuff. And of course, we got the big Duck Club rear overs on now. You know, they're still clecoed. I still got to put some riv nuts in, but we're finally completing the set. The other ones are in the back over there, along with this rear valance that's going to go on the rear bumper. But now, like the Resax and some of the, you know, the three-piece wheels, I'm going to be able to have a lot better fitment in the rear and be a little bit lower with how this style is. So I'm really excited about that. Time to jump into the inside. So I cleaned up a lot of the wiring mess I had before. Now going back is just this single strand. You know, I cleaned up this center a bunch. We have our panel for our new electrical panel. I mounted the computer. This has like you know, some rubber bushings in between the riv nuts going down to the tunnel, so it's not, you know, solid mounted. And the wiring specialties harness came back in, so that's run. And then now you can kind of see our coolant lines are actually ran inside the car. So to rules, they can run inside the car as long as they're in this full sleeve. So this isn't like Velcro on stuff. We actually had to slide this on before installing any of the fittings. And then we just have two bulkheads that go through the firewall. So here's where the two bulkheads, the -16s, come out of the firewall and then go down. So we'll get into this a little bit more when we talk more about what this has become. So this is the 2J that I had on the stand, like in the last video. We have done a ton of stuff like with it, just assembling everything, wrapped the header, made this gnarly new dump tube that's gonna stick out of the hood a little bit more than we used to. We wrapped our downpipe and everything, and then I have the exhaust, the oval stuff over there that goes to the back of the car, like just a little bit past the rear end. I'm really excited for this whole setup. I mean, just the amount of room that a 2J has in this car is so sick versus the BMW engine, which is like, I'm just gonna sit sideways and just ruin your day. So this is sick. There's a lot of goodies added on to this post, you know, not to mention everything inside. The coils I am running are non-VVTi 2J coils, you know, recommended by our tuner, and I know a lot of other guys run them. I know James Dean runs them on his, at least this new Eurofighter car. So we're running those. Wiring specialties kind of hooked us up with a harness that makes that work, because it is a common thing for people to run these coils. I am running an inline thermostat, which is what's this down here, and I'm also gonna run my water line from the turbo down there. The reason why I'm running the water pump in the back and then an inline thermostat is because we kind of went with the whole Rad Dan machined water pump, like delete, alternator, power steering setup. Still have to paint the radiator saddle and stuff, but anyway, kind of behind this, it's kind of hard to see, but some really high quality like 2J machine parts made by Rad Industries. Dan Burkett, he's an FD Pro 1 driver, so it's this like water pump delete that we're also able to run. You know, it's this kind of two-piece setup that's really nice, that has the AN lines on it, or it has the AN threads, and then we are gonna use these like 120-degree fittings to kind of go back along the frame rail to our bulkheads. But then also, you know, it's got in conjunction this alternator bracket. This is the alternator that you can buy from Rad Industries as well. This is like a self-exciting, awesome alternator. This is his power steering bracket. Along with this, we are running, this is my dad's messy toolbox, but we're running a KRC power steering pump. So this is something I'm super hyped about as well, because I've heard issues with stock 2J ones. So I'm really excited to be running a race power steering pump that has adjustment flow too, so you can adjust how the wheel feels. Along with the power steering kind of going on is you notice that all of my lines coming out of like my rack and everything are all Chase Bays lines. Just so much cleaner. Everything's AN line. They're baffled Reservoir. I'm gonna be able to mount nicely, you know, in my own way, and it looks sick. This right here, don't mind my cardboard, I was making mounts for it, but this is the Reservoir that I'm gonna be running. So, and then onto like kind of the front, I still have the Street Faction bash bar, which is greatly protecting the new Mishimoto radiator, or intercooler. This thing's thick. It's huge. I'm really hyped about it. Another one of the partners for this season is Mishimoto. Look how simple the cooling lines are. Like a 90 out of here, straight into the turbo. It's a little bit of a different angle, like a little bit more than 90, straight into our intake, into the throttle body. Speaking of throttle body, we couldn't find a BMW throttle cable that worked. We tried a few different ones. This is another one that we tried to make work, but we ended up just making a throttle cable. We ran all the fuel lines, the Deechworks lines, totally like with the Mach engine. So all the lines did work out. We did have to remake one line because it just didn't, it hit like the starter down here. So we kind of replaced that. We did move the fuel pressure gauge here. It was over here. Now I put the AEM sensor in here and the gauge over here, so we can have that manually know what's going on, and then the computer will be getting its information as well. Speaking of this, I'm really happy how the white bay turned out. I was really kind of up in the air if I wanted to take the time to paint the bay white or just leave it the gray that the inside of the car is, and I'm really hyped on it. Few still things underneath here that I need to take care of. You know, I have like the sandwich plates on my oil filter that I do have like AN fittings down there, so I can run an oil cooler. Mishimoto hooked us up the smaller oil cooler that we're gonna run just for that little bit extra cooling. One thing I'm really impressed about is, because I'm still running the stock steering shaft, is that the excessive manufacturing 2J E36 mounts, just everything fits perfectly. The engine fit really well. There's a good amount of adjustment, and then also got the condor bushings in there. Also have them underneath the trans, which is something cool. I made an Instagram post about it, but I am running the Collins adapter to ZF trans. So I'm actually still using the same transmission that I was with the S52, but it's got the Collins flywheel, the Collins like adapter plate that's in between the engine and the trans, and then I did a refresh on my ACT clutch. I think my old spare disc is over here, which came out in great shape, but I have a ACT like 3-stage, the unsprung clutch, which I really liked the feel of it last year, and it held up through countless clutch kicks, so we're still rocking that same one, just new throwout bearing and new disc. Like I covered before, instead of running the stock master, which the rule states if you run the stock master, you don't have to touch anything, but since I'm eliminating the booster because it didn't fit with the intake, and well, I wanted the manual brake feel, Chase Bays is coming out with a system where it's like a dual, it's a dual reservoir master cylinder. So it's separate, that's per FD rules that you have to run if you leave stock. So that's what we're gonna be running, a prototype version of something that they have. And I'm really hyped about that because it falls within all FD rules. So I can run the shootouts this year, which are kind of going off of the new Pro-Am, Pro 2 FD rules. Still be running the Chase Bays brake bias like I have in the past years. This thing, I don't care if you are running a stock car or whatever, one of the things by adjusting brakes is huge. Everyone uses brakes in tandem, and to control your speed, to control your angle, there's lots of things that both your hand brake and your just foot brake come in handy a lot. So the bias is something that's super easy to add, even if you're not building a full car. Adding the Chase brake, the Chase Bays inline adjuster, the rear to front adjuster, as well as like the extended front soft lines, make everything a whole lot easier and like comfier. You feel better about your front lines are good, and then having the bias allows you to do that minimal adjustment, so your foot brake feel and everything is what you want. Still haven't remounted the shifter. I was gonna flip it 180 from what I had it last year. I still haven't mounted that, and then like I said before, I still have to swap out the handbrake. Honestly, other than that, there isn't too much. I mean, I say too much like nothing happened, but a ton of stuff happened on the car. My pops and I are really excited to get this thing on the track and drift it. Hopefully, we can make an event pretty soon here. I think the wiring. I got the wiring harness kind of redone by Wiring Specialties. It's pretty much all hooked up. The engine's in for the final time. I just have to do, finish some stuff with the brakes, finish routing my cooling, mounting my blow-off valve, and some items like that. I have to put it back in the whole front, like the steering of my car, and I have to finish the rear shroud. And we're gonna go to the dyno, which is hopefully gonna be in the next month, and then hopefully we hit some test days. I'm really hoping to go to like Grid Life. Hopefully we can get into that this year. And there's a bunch of other events I want to hit. I want to be able to run, even though I'm not going to make the full season of East 10, I totally want to run as many events as I can. There's still going to be 2 shootouts, the US Drift Shootout and the MDU Shootout. That's 2 chances to get a Pro 2 license, and even if not that, it's just going to be a super fun experience and a huge event. Along with, we'll be able to hopefully make 2 of the East 10 Pro-Am events. So I think we're going to still get a lot of track time this year, even though we're finishing at what I feel is so late in the season. But that's pretty much all I got. Just so you guys know that there is a shirt design that I'm kind of throwing out there. I'm making some shirts so I can send them to my sponsors, to kind of give back something lame that people who support me. But I am selling them too. They're 20 bucks a shirt. It's kind of a collab between one of my sponsors, Loot Complex, and myself. So if you want or interested in that, I'll be taking orders for like the next week. So just follow me on Instagram. My Instagram's in the description, and then just shoot me a message and I'll put you on my spreadsheet. You PayPal me over or whatever, and then in like 2 weeks or time, I'll send you out a shirt. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz. Peace.